In this movie, and I don't want to give away any of the big plots of the movie, but the storyline is so well developed and the characters are so well developed, but you have yourself and others that are genuinely seeking the answer of what just happened, which is really difficult to find. I mean, you did a good job in the movie of just showing this information wasn't just out there. And when the rapture happened, there was also an immediate response that was a deception of the people in the world being told something happened that actually didn't happen. And so you're fighting against that. The movie really depicts the spirit that's going to be in the world, the spirit of deception and the spirit of control that's going to be in the world when that happens. And so I just, as the movie began to develop for me, I just thought to myself, this is why we preach the gospel. This is why we have to get this out. So who do you think, and I know that we want everybody to go see the movie, and I hope that they do. Do you think that this would be a good movie for an unbeliever to see?
Oh, yeah. There's no question. Here's the thing I found kind of interesting. And I've talked to many people about this since, I've done movies like God's Not Dead and What If, Soul Surfer, Let There Be Light. And I get more and more people walking up to me that don't have a faith. They're agnostic, they're atheists, and they say, I saw your movie and I found it kind of interesting. Well, to me, that's a win.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard for people that go to church on a regular basis to say, hey, come to my church with me, because I know they get a little pushback saying, there's church people there, I don't want to go. Because of what movies and television have done. And they've done this on purpose in Hollywood. They portray conservatives, they portray Christians as idiots, as crazy, as bumbling fools. And so after decades of doing that, that's how people have grown up. That's how they grew up to believe that. Look what they've done in sitcoms. They've always got the kind of fat, out-of-weight dad, kind of a dummy. The mom's always hot and she knows everything. The teenage kids treat the dad like crap. And you wonder why you have a problem with the nuclear family in today's world. Because we always portray fathers as losers and don't know what they're talking about, which is really sad. You do it in The Simpsons. You do it in Family Guy. The dad is always the loser. So I'm trying to do movies that show that the positive things that are happening out there in the world right now. And this movie, I think, if you get people to show up, say, hey, do you want to go to a movie? Because it's easier to get people to go to a movie. And I got to throw this in. We get a 4-day run with this, all right? Because things have changed since the whole COVID fear factor, okay? It's harder to get independent movies in theaters. So if you support this movie like you did in my movie God's Not Dead and Let There Be Light, we'll get a longer run, because I don't have a $100 million advertising budget like James Cameron does for $300 million Avatar movies. I can't show the trailer on every football and basketball game. We need word of mouth, and that's what happened with God's Not Dead and Let There Be Light, and we need that again, because I get stopped all the time by people saying, please make more movies like this, and there's 80 million homes in America that want these kind of movies. Yeah. But if they don't hear about it, then they don't know. So we need word of mouth by all the people that follow your show as well. Fill up these theaters. If you fill them up, it will get more coverage. It'll get a second week, a third week, and a fourth week. And this is a positive movie out there. Because Walt Disney said back in the 1950s, movies and television will influence our youth. Well, you see what has happened over the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah. Well, I watched the movie this weekend, and I was telling you before we started talking here on the show, it was very moving to me, in which I don't cry. I mean, I'm just not a crier. My wife's a crier. I'm not a crier. And in minute 54 into the movie, I was crying. And for the rest of the movie, I was very emotional. And I'm saying it to say it's an extremely good storyline, and it is extremely well acted. Yourself, Neil McDonough, I think Neil McDonough is in Yellowstone right now, I believe.
Yep.
He's in there. He's a very well-known actor, very great. Corbin Burnson, Greg Perro, Bailey Chase, Sarah Fisher, your wife, Sam Sorbo, who actually I thought was your daughter, Sam Sorbo. So, I mean, it's extremely well acted, and I mean, these are professional, movie actors and actresses, but it's such a great storyline, and it gets into the Antichrist. You actually see Carpathia, the Antichrist, arriving on the scene in the movie. It's chilling. When you see these things, you read about them, and I read all the Left Behind books, but when you see it, and done in such a very good manner, very quality manner, it moved me. And I'm saying that to say, I think that we have an audience that really, this is endtimes.com. So this is an end times audience that watches what we're going to see. And so they're going to be into this big time. I want people to show this to their family and friends, especially unsaved friends. If you have someone, this is the perfect opportunity. If a person would just sit down and watch this movie, I guarantee it would touch their heart. It touched my heart. And I was thinking when I was watching the movie of the people that I hope see this movie. And so I want people to watch it. And so what to you, when you're making this movie, what to you are some of the most important aspects of the movie or parts of the movie that you can talk about?
There's a couple of parts that really hit home. There's a scene where I go to visit my wife. I mean, her church, all right, that she used to go to. And maybe, I took it upon my character to be a CEO Christian. He wasn't a believer, but he would go there for Christmas. He'd go there for Easter. So he was a CEO Christian, right? And so he knew where the church was. He finally, 6 months after the rapture, after sort of looking at his wife's Bible, looking at all the highlights she had and all the notes she took, and sort of like reading her diary, so to speak, to try to find out where he went lost and where he didn't listen to her, because he knows she was right, that he knows that it was the rapture. So he finally makes his way to the church. Who does he see in the church? The pastor. The pastor got left behind, and I'm not shocked by that. People would be shocked by that, but I'm telling you right now, you look at our world today, and that's why we made it more modern day. Look what pastors are doing in churches right now with this woke culture and cancel culture. I do a lot of speaking events. I do a lot of pro-life speaking, Christian education, and there's always somebody of the cloth within the audience, and I know they're there. And I say, you know what, you guys have to remember as a pastor, you work for God. You don't work for government. And I think people forget that. You see what churches are doing right now because they're afraid of, offending someone in their congregation. Well, offend them with the truth.
That's right.
People say they're offended by what I say. Well, I'm offended that you're offended by me speaking the truth. I put on my Twitter account, I said, I need more conspiracy theories because mine keep coming true. And people can follow me on Twitter. I do very funny, sarcastic, truthful tweets. K-Sorbs, K-S-O-R-B-S. And I know my last name's Sorbo, but Sorbs, my buddies call me Sorbs. But to me, it's we got a fight on our hands. And I'm not here to wake up the sheep. I'm here to wake up the lions. We need to wake up. And I look at Robert Frost's poem of Road Less Traveled. And I'll say this. Jesus was really the original guy who walked the road less traveled.
That's right.
And I feel like you're on that road, and I feel like I'm on that road. And what I want to do is turn the road less traveled into a super highway. People have stopped being afraid, and they need to start walking down that road together.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching this clip. To see the entire weekly Tipping Point show, join us today at endtimes.com for $7 a month.